and 2
So,
and 1. We're live.
Hello,
Then
welcome
we can go like,
Facebook
hey,
Live
freak bitches, you know,
and
that kind of
YouTube, and he's already cursing.
Hey, it's all right.
YouTube,
We're not
it's
actually
all
live yet.
Yes,
I mean, you know, what I mean.
We're not recording.
I have to do an extra thing when I put it on YouTube. Anyways,
Yeah.
Why? What do you work?
to
Why?
warn people.
I don't think anyone cares.
Actually, YouTube's algorithm is now really annoying with that.
So,
Well, everyone's algorithm.
If you don't,
really annoying.
if you don't label it as an as suggestive content, and then there's suggestive content detected by the algorithm, it goes, "You can't play this video ever." It's really bad. It's really bad.
suggestive
Like that.
content. So me going like 3, 2, 1. Hello, freak bitches. It's suggestive content.
yeah, a
You
little bit,
saying the B
little bit,
word,
yes.
literally. You saying bitches.
So,
Dude, that's been going on since like the 90s on watching Friends. Like,
Well, I mean, now you can actually say, well, through lack of a better term, we're not live yet, but
Facebook Live.
that's true. If
Facebook
you don't
Live.
mind me saying this, in
Yeah.
terms of show live, you can now say shit on air in TV.
right,
So it's technically an appropriate word,
right.
strangely enough.
Has to be a certain time.
But it has to be in
so-
context too. It has to be a certain time of night as well. It has to be
Yeah.
like
Right.
past like 9 o'clock, 9:30
Like
or
cable,
something.
like
Family
FX
time.
would break that, would do that rule, like their 10 o'clock Tuesday night show, whatever it was, whether it was the
Oh yeah,
um
it used to be 11 o'clock or like 11:30. Then
It
they
was the
reduced it to
Shield.
like 10.
Past
Now
the
it's like
family hour.
9:30.
right.
Yeah. Once
Yeah.
family hours passed, that's it. you're
Shield,
good.
Sons of Anarchy, Justified, all of them would do that rule.
Oh yeah, the moment it would hit like 10:01,
10 o'clock, boom.
10:01, boom, first
Yeah.
F-bomb dropped, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Exactly.
now we know kids are in bed.
Yep.
So hello, Facebook Live and YouTube, because this is also going to be on our YouTube page. Welcome to another behind-the-scenes recording of our show. It came from the radio. Today, today is the 22nd of January. I'm here with our very own definition man, Dominic Sperano from Pronto Comics.
What up?
And I have our very own GHR's very own, Zambo the engineer.
Hello, I'm very own.
Our senior correspondent, Charles Saladino, will be calling in for the show.
On
but
assignment.
that'll be a little bit later. Hopefully he's watching now, because that way he'll know when to call in.
Hopefully.
One could hope. He's probably asleep.
No, well, yes.
You
You
almost had
It's
to
a
advocate.
possibility. It's a possibility.
My car's
Um,
not working.
So before we start, we're going to do a house cleaning as always. Just want to mention that this weekend is
We
going
got a
to
dirty
be
house.
The,
we gotta, you know.
the
Hire
PowCon.
somebody.
They're going to
Please.
have tons of guests, such as some Power Rangers, AEW guy, a UFC guy, some voice actors.
The UFC guy is someone.
Yeah, so for more information, go to www.powcomiccon.com. Tickets are on sale. I think he said it was $20 last week. So
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, so tickets are reasonably priced.
Nice.
It is this weekend, so if you guys want to check that out, make sure you do that. You want to hold that up so people can see the thing for the web camera, if you don't mind. And also, want to mention that on the 5th of February, we're going to have our 29th live show in front of a live studio audience at the Samania Mall, which is formerly the Source Mall in Long Island, with special guests, writer-artist Jay Hewer and wrestler Kip Francis Stevens. I always say Francis Kip Stevens. It's Kip Francis Stevens.
This is from the Somalia Mall, right?
Yes. Tom Hanks will not be there.
Warlords stealing people's food and everything over there.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen. So come down there if you want to see all that stuff happening.
It's probably as barren as Somalia, though.
It's a very barren
It's
mall.
very
a very
barren.
barren mall.
You know how you see those things about like abandoned malls that are turned into homeless housing?
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
gotta
ain't
tell
thinking.
you.
I'm just saying.
I would love
I
for
gotta
that mall
tell
to
you.
be mainly like community centered. You know,
Tell me.
like
Tell me.
theaters, art stuff. I would love that.
If you guys manage to go to the mall right now,
Mhm.
there's nobody there. It's very creepy. You can have like a horror movie there. It's like,
You can literally
You
film,
can-
and
you
the
can-
security
you-
guards would be like, whatever.
yeah, you can have like your own movie there. It's crazy
Yeah.
how desolate it is. But we're there.
At least
so
until
we
it
get
changes,
Yeah.
because we don't know what the
Well,
new
remember,
owners are going to do.
Everything is until it isn't.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so we
Everything
have
works
that.
until it doesn't.
And Dom, like, you have any house cleaning you want to mention?
Midnight
Potteries?
What's that?
Your midnight potteries? Moonlight
Potteries.
No,
I'm getting old. I can't stay up that
Dancing in
late
the
anymore.
moonlight.
There will be a Moonlight Pottery this Friday from 6:30 to 8:30. There are 2 slots left.
Ooh.
And then, because it's February and no one's original and everyone wants to pretend to be Ghost, pull that Ghost moment. You know, hey, can you pull up a little Unchained Melody for me?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Lunch Aid Melody.
Unchained Melody, you know. Because no one's original.
I hope I
We're-
spelled that right.
People have to do this for Valentine's Day.
Yes,
It's
just
like-
hang on a minute.
it's as if they've come up with it for the first time on their own.
baby.
So we now have not 1, not 2, but we have 3 Moonlight Potteries going on in the month of February. So we have the 7th, the 14th, actual
Valentine's
Day.
Oh,
And if
it's
you-
Unchained Melody.
Unchained, yeah.
That's
Unchained
I'm
Melody.
sorry. I didn't hear what you said. I was like, what? I don't know why I didn't hear it.
You're actually pulling up the scene.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you
Because
go.
everyone's got to do this.
Right.
Yeah. You gotta play this.
So it'll be on the 7th, the 14th, and the 21st.
I think for those of the people who couldn't make the 14th.
Right, for those
or
who,
trying to make up, or what is it? The second Valentine's.
What's second Valentine's Day?
So you have your main Valentine's
Right.
person, and then your side piece, as they call it.
Right.
You can't make it for
Right,
the
right.
14th because you're doing it. I got to work or something, and then you take it to the next
Right,
one.
right. So, as we learned in Goodfellas, Saturday night is for the wives, but Friday night's for the girlfriends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You know.
in this particular case, you can just, and if I see you on the 14th and I see you on the 21st, I'll just pretend on
Get a
the 21st
discount?
I never met you.
Do you
Just
get a
tip an extra
discount?
$5,
Right.
and you'll be good.
But you better
Not
tip.
said, yeah.
You better tip.
otherwise
it's gonna be
mysterious
Mention the
man.
website,
Right. You can
'Cause
go to
I got a story.
islandpottery.com.
islandpottery.com. So I
Right.
got a story about this. As you well know, I used to work in a movie theater.
Well, hold on.
Oh, wait, go ahead.
And
More
then
stuff. Yes.
Next week, January 29th, we have Carve and Paint Pottery Night at Industry Market. You can go to my bio on Instagram and click on my link tree and find it there. Also on Twitter. I've been posting about it on my Facebook page, so you can go and get your tickets. It's a lot of fun. It's already pre-made vessels, and you just carve and paint and just relax, and you get a free glass of wine. So
Nice.
Where is it?
yeah, it's only
Those
$45.
are really loud.
Yeah, I'm turning it down right now.
Okay.
Try now.
2 hours, $45. It's a great night out
Per person or
per person.
45 per person.
45 per
That's
person.
not bad though.
That's not
You
bad.
get a free glass of wine.
Free
and
glass of
some-
wine. You get like we're going to be doing mugs.
For
You
what
can-
for what you're getting, the price point is pretty darn good.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh
you
yeah.
know.
Because then you're doing hands-on. You're paying for the supplies
Yeah,
and
you
things.
buy if you all the supplies are taken care of.
Yeah.
It's everything's there. All you got to do is come and relax
show
and
up.
carve, and
the
it's
good
a good fun.
stuff.
It's a good
the
time.
good stuff.
All right, so my little story, as I've mentioned many times before, I used to work at a movie theater.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And one
Theater.
time, at the movie theater, this guy had 2 dates at the same time. It was an amazing thing. He came
Bopping
in,
back
brought
and
in a
forth
woman,
theaters.
bought a ticket, and then ran back out, brought in a second woman, bought another ticket. It's crazy. It was a crazy Saturday night, but it has happened. So, you might get that.
Why would anyone want to do that?
Maybe
Play
he
the
had
field,
to.
man. Just gotta play the field.
Maybe he really wanted to get the 2 of them there,
Hey.
and they didn't want to go any other day.
Listen, you knew what
and
the
he
back
was-
of the theater is for, so
He's
let's
rolling
just
So
the
he's
dice.
call it
running
like it
back
is.
like in the same movie,
No, two different movies. Yeah.
So he's like constantly, I got to go to the bathroom.
yeah.
Like, oh, I'm gonna go
And
get
I-
us more popcorn. I'll be right back. You want
I
junior
wish-
mints? I'm gonna go get junior mints.
I wish it
Mm.
wasn't busy that night because I would have followed the rest of the story. But I lost track of where he was. I was like, I want to know what happens. Like when it's time to leave.
the climactic end.
I was just curious. But hey, if you're listening,
Let's go out the
you should,
let's
you
go
should
out the
call
fire
us and
escape.
tell us your story about
Right.
what happened.
Let's go out the
That's a
fire
thought.
escape, hun. I'll see you there. I'm gonna hit the
Oh,
bathroom
man.
before we leave one more time.
All right, so we're ready. We're gonna start.
Yeah,
We got time?
let's,
Everybody got
let's
it?
go. I'm ready when you are.
All right, here we go.
The following is brought to you in part by MFC Studios. The views of the
How
show's
was that?
host and guests
You double hit a button.
Did I?
reflect
Yeah.
those of the
do
management,
that.
owners,
I'll
or
fix that in
staff
post.
of
That's
this
fine.
radio station. And now, it came from the radio.
Our entire show is we'll fix it in post.
That's what it's called. It came from the radio. A show by Mark Torres. We'll fix it in post.
Should change the name of the show to We'll Fix It in Post with Mark Torres.
Honestly, that'd be a fun a news show. Just all around general news and just don't even care what it is.
We should do that.
Yapatoy, and welcome once again to a Game from the Radio, the official of the Big Apple Con. This is your host, Mark Torres, speaking. With me in the GHR studio. I'm laughing if you guys are watching our Facebook Live, or if you watch the YouTube afterwards, is our very own Pronto Comics Dominic Definition Man Sperano.
I lost one of my malted milk balls over here.
Aww.
And
I'm quickly becoming like the Artie Lang of the show. You know.
and Charlie Saladino, if you're listening, you're
Still
supposed to
got
be
good
calling
nose.
in
Without the
right
heroin,
now.
yeah.
So
And the
Charlie,
nose.
get on
Oh.
that. But in lieu of that, we have our very own engineer from GHR Radio, Zambo the engineer.
Hello.
I wonder if Charlie is supposed to be calling in. I think
I have the line open for him, so if he does call, it's going to come in.
All right.
So if he does, he does. If not, hey,
Well, Mark,
maybe we can talk.
All right. So this week's show, we're
Gunnery
going
Sergeant
to,
Torres over here.
Yes.
Or at least like 2 weeks ago when you had a real high and tight going on. You look like a gunnery sergeant or something. But anyway, you're a betting man. Do we want to do an over-under on Charlie calling in today?
Without going over?
There's a 50-50 chance of that happening. but
That's
there's only
really
a
not much of
10%
a-
chance of that.
There's a 70% chance that it's a 50-50 chance.
Yes, a 10% chance of that.
I'm going to go
50% chance of that happening,
60-40
only
not
10%
calling
chance
in.
of that.
I'm going to go 60-40.
So this week's show,
I'm going to
we
go
have-
70-30 not calling in.
We have
Ooh, I like that.
this week's show. We have a very short
You tell me.
review of where is it? I lost it. Hold on. We have a review of a comic book which was sent in to us by.
Oh, hey.
Where is it? I lost it.
Oh,
here it is.
no. Okay. Phew.
Ed, Kruhenel, from the Invasion from the Planet WrestleTopia, published by Starburns Industries Press. We're going to do a little review about that because he sent us 5 issues of his, I believe it's 6 issues series. It might be ongoing. And also, because we're so topical and right on time, we're going to be talking about the best and worst and honorable mention and honorable unmentions of the year 2019. And because it's 10 years have passed, because we're in the 20s now, even though it's not the new decade, it's still 10
Bring
years
on
have
the
Yeah,
passed.
it is. No, it's a new decade.
We're going to be talking about.
I hate it when people are like, it's not really
the-
new. Like, it's a new decade.
It's every 10 years, there's a new decade. Doesn't matter what number is preceded before it or after.
So the 10 years ago, we'll see if the best and worst beat that for the 10 years. But first,
Alright.
we're going to take away with the news. News is brought
Go
to you
ahead.
in part by the Fine Folks of the Big Apple Corner, which we are the official radio show of, celebrating over 5 years of pop culture-ness and comic book stuff. For more information, go to www.bigapplecc.com. The next convention will be on April 4th and 5th, and they will have headliners, of which none other than the original Green Ranger, Jason David Frank, and head honcho, a big-time artist, and overall super cool guy, I would imagine, Jim Lee is going to be there.
Great guy.
So tickets are on sale now. I know they have different tiers and all that fun stuff, so make sure you guys get your tickets now before they sell out and you can't meet Jim Lee. And also want to do the
That's
patrons, of which they are Danny Grillo, award-winning director Jared Burrell, Two Sentence Horror, Kyle Horn, Millie Portez, Newsday famous Dresden Media, Kun, and Shadow Rabbit Art. Also want to give a special non-Patreon shout-out, which would be a Patreon to Greg Iosa.
A Patreon?
A Patreon.
Patreon.
Not a Freetreon.
No, not a Patreon, because he gave me
Fa-
because he gave me $1. He handed me $1.
And that's true, he did.
So a Photreon then. No, well, no, it's not a fake shout out. It's just.
Well,
a,
it's not a Patreon.
It's
a
an alternate.
Patreon.
It's an alternate shout out.
It's a Patreon because he's not a Patreon. So if you want to be a real Patreon and support our show, go to www.patreon.com and look up It Came From the Radio in the search bar. And just for $1, a mere chump change, you can get your own little shout out on our show and help support us on the way.
Speaking of Shadow Rabbit Art, I happened to see him yesterday in my hometown, Huntington.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
Really?
it was cool. It was nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's always like a pleasant
That's a
surprise.
side story.
Yeah.
It's not even a story. I'm just mentioning that I saw him. He's doing well.
So how about that?
He's got a bunch of commissions. Go check him
How
out.
about that?
So let's see with the news.
1995.
So I do the news ahead of time. So I heard what happened
you know?
today. So I didn't get a chance to go into it.
What happened today?
Terry Jones from Monty Python passed away.
Yes,
This is
Terry
the sad
Jones.
news. So I
25 years for Big
didn't-
Apple. I
didn't
just
have
did the
a
math.
25.
25.
Yeah.
So
So
you
I
were-
didn't have a. Well, I'll do that for next week. But I just want to mention it that
Yeah.
we did know.
He
You're like,
passed.
oh, you forgot? No, well, we know. But that's it for no really sad news. We're going to the short news. Still, what is it?
Short sadness.
Vertically challenged news, as Dominic likes
That's
to say.
true.
There you go. So, from the Too Much Too Late department, actor Hank Azaria has confirmed that he no longer will voice, oh boy, Apu, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, on the long-running Simpsons cartoon.
Wait, can I try?
You could just
Yes.
say it, Pooh.
Well, you got to show it to me, man.
Oh.
Here, I'll pull it up. Here we go.
Nasapima Pedalon?
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I think that is it.
There we go. Was it clap?
That's a Pima Pedal. Yeah.
Wait, no, that's not. Yeah.
I wonder if I could find an actual like phonetic pronunciation.
Hank
of that.
says, all we know is I won't be doing the voice anymore unless there's some way to transition it or something. What they're going to do with the
Transition it
character,
to what?
what they're going to do with the character is their call. It's up to them, and they haven't sorted it out yet. All we've agreed on is that I won't do the voice anymore. We all made a decision together. We all agreed on it. We all feel like it was the right thing to go about it. For those of you who weren't paying attention, all this comes after the fallout of a 2017 documentary called The Problem with Apu, which cited the show promoting a racial stereotype. Of note, when we reported this on a previous show, we quoted The Simpsons creator Matt Groening as saying, "I think is a time in our culture where people love to pretend that they're offended." But now he's on board with not having him voice it anymore.
This is that stupid SJW woke culture crap.
Well, actually, here's the thing. Yes, actually, it completely is, and is completely unwarranted because there was a dude who made basically a stupid documentary that didn't actually cover all the bases of what Apu has done throughout the whole series.
Right.
He's rich. He's
Yeah.
famous in India.
Right.
He has a doctorate.
Right.
He's dealt with multiple surgeries. He's done so many. He's like a really intelligent dude, but chooses to live humbly as a convenience store worker.
Right.
Like.
And he has 8 children, if I remember.
Exactly, and he's very happy. He's literally like he's like a Mary Sue character, without putting it in your face. And the guy who made the documentary that started all this BS
The Trouble with
neglected
Apu.
all. Thank you, Trouble with Apu. That's what it was. Neglected literally all that information and just focused on the fact that he was a convenience store worker, and that's all he was, and nothing else. Meanwhile, he neglected the other 23 seasons that the show's had.
Right.
So, come on, man.
And now somehow he feels like he's done his job and he's like, helped change the world when all he did was like basically nothing.
Ruin a character that was actually
character.
one of the most well thought out characters in Simpsons history.
Yeah.
So good job.
Meanwhile, Hank Azaria voices like 20 other characters
He
in the
does
show.
Chief Wiggums.
Yeah.
He
So
does
he's
a
gonna be
couple of
fine.
voices. Yeah.
He's gonna be. He's got plenty of work.
I'm
with
sure
him.
he doesn't get paid by the voice. I'm sure he
No.
gets paid just to show up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's still counting
probably
that
by the
Simpsons
hour.
money.
So, I mean, the other thing, too, is like, all right, so what fixes this?
Right. So they don't know yet. They're still figuring out. But what
Yeah.
I find interesting is that part
What
of
if
the
Cal Penn, like, voices
see
Apu now?
that's the thing. Like,
That'd be kind of cool.
but does that mean that all of a sudden that
They're also
the
at 30
Cleveland-
seasons.
Cleveland
I mean, they
show,
could just,
Cleveland,
stop.
Cleveland
True.
Brown from the Cleveland show,
Right.
the white guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So now all of a sudden he's not allowed to voice the white guy.
Yeah.
Because he's not a black guy.
No one's, like, complaining that Nancy Cartwright has been voicing a
Right, a
10-year-old boy for
exactly.
30 years.
Trisha
So does
Takanawa
that
is
mean-
voiced by a white woman. Like,
So
come on.
does that mean now all of a sudden all the kids have to be voiced by kids? I think we've gone a little too
Phil
far.
Lamar voiced a Japanese guy.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna.
The whole point is that their voices.
That's the whole point. You do not understand who they are.
It's part of the whitewash, as they say, the
Yeah.
whitewashing. But there's a line. Once again, we're talking about
Is
this
it
line.
whitewashing, or is it just there's only so many really talented voice actors?
We
Period.
We
Yeah.
we did a show about acting a long time ago. I don't know if you were even on the show when you were on this.
Acting.
The role of the actor is to make you believe that they're that person.
Right.
So,
Regardless of who they are and what they look like.
right. So in certain
That's why
situations,
Scarlett Johansson will make a great first black James Bond.
Exactly.
So if you're
Or
that good of an
Japanese
actress, if you're that good that you can transcend color,
Yeah.
then by all means,
Right.
do it.
You've done it.
Absolutely.
if how many times have they had men portray women in the old Shakespeare stuff? Because
That was a law. They had to.
right, but I'm just saying that you have to be able to suspend your disbelief. Once again, that line I was talking about about accepting what you're given. So I think that the pendulum just went too far in the other direction.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's got to balance out again.
Still waiting for that pendulum to come swinging back.
it'll happen.
Maybe hit someone in the head and knock some sense into him.
Yeah.
So moving on to the second and last bit of news. From the That Was Quick department. Doolittle, Robert Downey Jr.'s first post-Marvel movie, has been officially
My God.
declared a box office bomb,
Duh.
raking in just $29 million of its $175 million budget in its opening weekend, and making it the first box office failure of 2020.
So I heard about the ending to this film.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about it?
No,
Okay.
unless it's on the list.
Okay.
For those of
Well-
you who do not know,
Yeah.
Dr. Dolittle is the first film of the Dr. Dolittle franchise, which in turn was an adaptation of the book series from 100 years ago in 1920 about a doctor who can talk to animals. Of note, for those of you keeping track, last year's Playmobil, the movie, based on the toys of the same name, was one of the biggest flops of all time.
I didn't even know that came out.
Only $668,000 off of its $40
Because they
million
tried to
budget
piggyback off the
in
Lego
its
movie.
opening weekend. So it didn't even make $1 million. It only made $668,000.
That's bad. Really bad.
That's just as bad as Food Fight.
So yeah, so
I mean, I haven't seen Doolittle, but the fact that they were releasing it after the holiday season and gave it absolutely no marketing whatsoever.
It's in the death valley of movies every year. January, February is the worst time to release your movie because that means they had zero confidence in the fact that it would be any form of hit whatsoever.
Yeah, so they either was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely thought it was terrible.
I mean, I didn't see it, but I know the ending scene because it got told to me, and I was just so flabbergasted that we went from Iron Man and the Avengers, 10-year-long beautiful series with Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. doing a very good job,
right,
to this, and I was like, I don't believe it. I really don't believe it.
He needs that money.
He still gets paid.
Oh, he still gets paid. I know he still gets paid.
What was it, the $175 million budget?
So he probably got about
$100 million.
He probably got about $100 million.
Yeah,
$70 million for special effects, $5 million for everybody else.
Everyone else.
Basically,
because that's a holiday movie.
Yeah,
it's a family kid movie with him doing his English
with a lot
accent.
of poop jokes.
They
Of
are
course.
saying that part of the reason was because they did the shuffle because it was originally going to come out during the holiday season,
Right.
but then Star Wars came out, and they're like, we're not even going to try to compete with Star Wars. We're going to put it after Star Wars.
Yeah.
And
then
how'd that work out?
That didn't work out at all.
Not at all. So that's it for the news.
Jesus.
So
My
we're going
goodness.
to talk about our little book, which Charlie is supposed to call. I don't know. It's not.
Well, that's all right.
It's not looking good.
I guess while you're figuring that out, do you want me to talk about the ending to do? I mean, I
So-
just really want to
Go
get
ahead.
at it.
Charlie read the comic.
Yeah?
Which is
Good for him.
Which is
That's
funny.
good.
All right. So
But
I
he's
guess
just not here.
yeah,
So I guess until he calls, I'll just.
no. We only have so much time.
Okay,
in
go
our
for it.
show.
Don't we take
That
a
is
break?
your show.
Well, we're gonna take the break after this, so we can talk about the best, worst, and honorable mentions.
There you go.
Oh,
That makes
okay.
sense. That makes sense.
So, as I mentioned earlier, Ed Quenel, Quehnel, Quehnel, Quenel.
It doesn't count if you just spell it on air.
No,
man.
I'm saying Quenel, Quenel.
Again, let me take a look at this here.
Quehnel, Quehnel.
Yeah,
Ed
Quenel.
Quenel. All right. So
Quenel.
Ed Quenel sent us Invasion from Planet
Canal. Yeah.
WrestleTopia, published by Starburn Industries Press, which is described as when a disgruntled professional wrestler declares himself a galactic champion of the universe, a planet of alien wrestlers views it as a declaration of war. And obviously, hijinks ensues. So I know
Did he bring
Charlie
his
actually
towel?
read the comic. Did you actually get a chance to read the comic?
A little.
So I read it. What did you think?
I've, as you can tell by having worked in comics now for almost a decade, I've seen a lot of independent comics.
Right. Being an independent comic book publisher
Yeah.
yourself, so you've seen more than the average.
Oh, yeah. And I can honestly tell you, in terms of just layout, art style, and cleanliness of the pages,
Mm-hmm.
pretty good.
Oh, okay.
So he at least has artistic quality then. in that case.
Artistically. Now, I don't know if he's just the writer or the writer and the artist
Mhm.
or what, but really well done art style, clean, really, I wouldn't say like super graphic or anything like that, both in terms of an adult sense.
It
or
has a
anything.
very cartoony feel.
It's very cartoony, but it's clean. It pulls you in. I think it's the right art style for the story because the story is kind of funny and giggly. Really good use of your panels in terms of like easy to read and bounce through. Good lettering. Nice, clean lettering, easy to read, which is very important. 'Cause sometimes this lettering is terrible.
That's the one thing it's like, what is it, bad editing? You don't know it unless you see it.
Right. So, in terms of just the visual aspect of the story, because I'm a visual guy before I'm a reader.
Okay.
Visually, really good job. For an independent book that I don't know how long it took him to put together, but if it's an art team, keep that guy on board. Stay together because it's really well done, clean, easy to follow the story. I'm pretty happy with it. Good lettering, good coloring.
So I will go
Yeah.
for the story aspect.
Mhm.
I'm a very, very, very light wrestling fan. I can say, like, I know my oldest friend. He loves that stuff like nobody's business.
I would love to see like
So-
Brim's reaction to the story.
So I've been around. I've been
Actually, would
around
be
this
really
for a
funny.
while, and I read it, and I thought it was a lighthearted, fun little romp.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of the content, I
Mhm.
think this is. If you're a wrestling fan, I think this is for you.
Right.
It's not serious like Headlocked is for our friend Mike Kingston, who has done Headlock for comics.
What's funny too is as I'm going through it, I'm just thinking like, uh-oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody else finally decided to make another wrestling
We
comic.
finally we've got what was it was the WWE and what was it WCW finally.
WCW
finally-
or AEW for those
AEW,
who,
yeah.
who are very relevant right now, current in the date. I thought it was entertaining. I felt the story was a little was all right, kind of a little wavy at
Yeah,
times.
the story's not groundbreaking in any way. But
Right. It's something that I can see as like a cartoon. I
Yeah.
can see it's for the younger audience, I find.
Mhm.
And if you're fans of old school wrestling, it's for
Mhm.
you. So I
Yeah.
want to
If you like 80s Hulk Hogan, early 90s
Right.
wrestling, this is the kind of thing for you.
actually that's a good point. So if you like Hulk Hogan's rock and roll wrestling,
Yes.
that right
That's
there,
what I felt it was reminding
that's
me of.
exactly what you're gonna get. It's that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
feel, that kind of tone, that even that kind of art style, right there, with all the good stuff that Dominic mentioned about the actual visual appeal of the book.
Which is so I don't want to dismiss the writer, but in any comic, but if the art doesn't work, good art can make an okay story work.
Yes.
Bad
Agreed.
art can kill a great story.
Agreed. 100% over.
You know.
Agreed. We've had many of people on the show that said how they, as a writer, that when the artist messed up and it doesn't portray what they wrote, or when the
Mhm.
when the artist gets messed up because he couldn't understand what the writer was writing.
Mm-hmm.
So yes.
Yeah.
Check it out. It's Invasion from Planet WrestleTopia, published by Starburns Industry Press.
So yeah, I got to look it over again and see if it's a creative team or just one person. But if it's a creative team,
I think Ed is the writer and creator. I think they have other people doing the rest
Then-
of the stuff. Yes.
I would urge them to try and keep that creative team together because it looks like you got something good going on there.
All right. So with that, we're going to take our break, and we'll be right back with It Came from the Radio.
This is the Amazing Preston, and you're listening to.
So I sent a text to Charlie.
Okay.
The radio.
Hi,
He's
you've
not
heard my
responding.
voice open and close the show. Now we want to hear your voice. If you
I
have a
didn't hear a
business
single word
or
you said.
product, you can record a commercial here. We offer
Well, yeah,
30 and 60-second spots. For more
I think we
information,
can leave that
contact
door
Mark
open.
at
Yeah, leave it open.
MFC_studios
See if that makes a difference.
at hotmail.com.
I mean, the light is
Hey
blocked.
everybody, this is Todd McFarlane.
As long as it's
of
not in the way of the
Record-Setting
camera,
Spawn
I
comic
think we're
series.
okay.
And if you're looking for any kind of cool conversation,
Yeah, the
about
red cup's over
creators,
by the
about
booze.
entertainment, about all that good stuff, you go
Don't
to
worry,
It
there's
Came
actually not
From the
booze here.
radio. You're listening to the right spot.
Hey
Drink
guys,
responsibly.
I'm Christy and I'm here to make the coolest custom cake for your next event.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
also
yeah.
do cake
I know.
pops,
I
cupcakes,
because it's a big
cookies,
stack and I
you
didn't
name
want to
it.
fall over, so I
if
kind of
you're
like
searching for
jammed
the
it a little bit.
perfect Birthday gift, preparing
the
for
cups
your
are available,
big
so
day,
ha.
Maybe there's nothing coming up, but your sweet tooth may have just given
This
you
is
the brain
behind the
a
scenes
swift
stuff.
kick
I'm
because of
calling
it.
Charlie.
Give me a call at
So anyway.
631-606-8167.
He's not picking up, despite the fact that
I can always repeat
Follow
this,
me
Talk
at
to him.
Custom
but at the end of
Cakes
Doolittle,
by
he
Christy.
encounters a dragon.
Spoilers!
INC.
Spoilers!
That's
Spoilers ahead. For
K-R-I-S-T-Y.
Facebook fans.
Thanks.
Sword of omens,
Charlie
come to my
asleep?
hand. I, Lion
He
of
might
the
actually
Alright.
be asleep.
Hi,
He might
everybody,
be
this is
asleep.
Larry Kennedy, the voice
So he
of
encounters a
Lion
dragon
All
with a
That
tummy
Podcast.
ache. Literally.
You're listening
The dragon
to
won't
It
kill him
Came
because
from the
she has a
Radio.
tummy ache.
Now back to our show.
And welcome back to
I'll
It Came
finish
from
the
the
rest of
Radio.
that later.
It's the show,
Hi.
the Big Up Con. We're here with Dominic Definition Man Serrano, Zambo the Engineer, and Charlie
Hello.
in spirit, who's supposed to be calling in.
Charles,
In sleepy
And he's-
twilight.
I
because
don't
you
know.
said you
I
jinxed
spoke
it.
to him.
You jinxed it last week because you said ever
Every
since
time.
I joined the show,
Right. We
he's now
do
missed
we
it.
do the best of.
He
He
misses
doesn't
it.
show.
Right.
So this is 3. No, this is 4. I think it's 4. Maybe it's 3. Let me
3.
see. 3. This is the 3rd time.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about the best show of 2019, the worst show of 2019,
You mean
and
the best
movie of 2019, worst
Okay.
movie of
Because
2019.
all of our shows are
And-
amazing.
yes. And honorable or dishonorable mention, and also because we're on the 10-year, the 2020s, we're going to talk about the past 10 years and if any of those shows or any of those movies,
Movies.
also work into that. So we'll just start off with the best of 2019. What do you got there,
All right.
Dominic? The rules. The movie had to have been in the theaters
In 2019.
in 2019.
Okay.
That's,
Right.
that's it.
I gotta
So
think about
you
that.
could not have seen it, but seen on DVD later. But it had to have been in the
Right.
theater. So honorable mentions can cover Netflix stuff like that
Right.
or TV movies because sometimes just
I gotta jog my memory, so I
But-
gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you got?
I mean, I've seen some pretty good movies.
Oh, and it has to be that you've actually seen the movie. So
well, it helps.
this also goes against that.
Okay.
There may be movies that are better or worse, but if we haven't seen it, that's
No count.
Right, doesn't count.
Right. I've seen I got to see some pretty good movies in 2019. I can't really complain too much about bad movies. The Irishman was really quite good.
Yeah,
And that was in the theaters. So
That was
does
in the
count.
theaters.
it did count.
I really did enjoy that movie a lot.
So would that be your best?
It may have, and I feel trepidatious about saying it's the best movie because it's one of the more recent ones.
Right. So your memory is a little more.
It's
really
more, that was
fresh.
more near the end of the year.
It's
you
near
know
the
what I
end of the
mean?
year, but as they often do. Oh, these are everything that came out.
This is
in
everything that
2019?
came out in 2019, and then it's all categorized. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, continue.
So
I
like, there's some
apologize.
movies here like Joker, Doctor Sleep. I can't say anything. I didn't see them.
Yeah.
But I'd say for me, it's a toss-up between The Irishman and Glass came out. Glass was very good too.
Mhm.
Say, oh yeah, that came out.
That's right. Because the problem is like you see a movie in January,
And you don't really remember it too
you don't
well,
remember
right?
it as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but
yeah.
Right, so you
that
have
was
to
quite good.
Glass
Go
was
look at
interesting,
the-
and it kind of started to create that weird universe that M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong wanted to
Yeah.
really make.
I mean, so
And,
I'd have to say,
yeah.
even though we're looking for the top movie, my top 3 of the year.
Well, you have to have one best. I need the number
I
one.
know the number one, but I'd say
So the
like,
other two would be honorable mentions.
yeah.
Mhm.
So somewhere in there, I'd say Glass, The Irishman, and also Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Mm.
Of those 3 that I think were probably some of the three best movies that came out that I got to see, I probably have to give it to The Irishman.
Okay. Irishman.
Ultimately. Though I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Glass and even John Wick number 3. Oh, John Wick number 3 was a little, I don't know where they're going with that, but it was still pretty good. But The Irishman, I think, is just such a well-crafted film. It definitely gets up there.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's
So
see.
we have those honorable mentions. So it's the
Mhm.
other two honorable mentions, right? All right. So Zambo.
There's one I
All right.
want to
Yes.
go into too, but we'll bring it around when we get to like honorable mentions, like that I don't think anyone got to see.
All right.
So did Dolomite
So-
Is My Name get released in theaters?
It did not.
It did not. Okay, so I will not count that then.
So Zambo's still trying to figure it out.
I'm just trying to go through what I've
he
already
saw.
It's just
seen.
there's so much.
I've gone through so much. I've seen a decent amount this year, but I'm going through to make sure.
All right. So while
Yeah.
while
So
you're still looking,
you could do yours
he's
and I'll
doing his
do mine
homework.
next. Yeah.
I say the best
Re-
movie of
I think I cheated myself.
2019, Godzilla Part 2.
Yeah.
God damn, I love that movie. I really
you
love
need
that
help.
movie.
You need a lot of help, man.
You know, it's certain things.
I'm just looking at all these movies
like-
that came out, and that's your
well,
best movie.
It has to be what I saw. Once again, it's
Mhm.
what I've seen. And then you have to think about what I expected going in and how I felt coming
I wanna
out.
see Tolkien. Great.
And I just remember that feeling that I saw when I left for Godzilla Part
Tolkien
2.
was in theaters.
How awesome I felt. Like, wow, this was exactly catered to me as a Godzilla movie, something that I have always wanted to see as Godzilla movies go. And I've seen a lot of Godzilla movies. So I'm like, you know what? I would say that Godzilla Part 2 was the best movie of 2019 for myself.
we really need to like update your.
For
Mm.
an honorable mention, I want to mention 2 movies. First one, I want to throw out a huge shout out to award-winning director Jared Burrell. His movie Incoherence is an independent film. I did see it in an actual theater, in the theaters.
Mhm.
I actually saw it twice. It's the only movie I saw 2 times this year in the theater. And that says
Right.
something for me. And I was just blown away by how good I felt leaving that movie. Because you go in as in, oh, it's this certain type of movie, so you expect certain things, as you would in any
Right.
genre.
Right.
But then it actually surprised you with the twists and turns. It's a very enjoyable movie. And the fact that it was somebody I knew, I actually was able to be a little more hard on it. And then when I saw it the second time, I doubled down and made sure that I was watching every little other thing that I didn't catch and made sure there was any problems in it. It was fine. It was great. It was entertaining, so very well done to that. And the second honorable mention I want to mention, which was Happy Death Day Part 2.
That was also horrible.
That was a great movie.
That was
a
fun
great-
horrible, in
it
my
was a
opinion.
great
Yeah.
Fun
build-off
horrible. Still
off
bad,
of the,
but fun
It
horrible.
was a good, bad movie, but it was
Yeah.
bad.
It was a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
build-off of a sequel as it goes. I thought it was like, hey, this is pretty darn good, entertaining, and I felt that the girl, the actress, really brought some acting chops to her emotion when she was with her mom, and I thought that was kind of a.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
So I was like, wow, it was really.
I
I
mean,
love
yeah,
time
that
travel
one got
stuff.
me.
I love right. So I was like, wow,
That part
she,
got me, sure.
she was able to bring it in that scene.
Alright.
So those are my best ones. So do you have? So did you do your homework yet, Zambo?
Yes, I did my homework.
All right, best movie,
so
2019.
My best movie of 2019.
Yes, that you've
Oof.
seen in the
That
theaters.
I've seen. So I've narrowed down all the movies that I've seen, and I've narrowed down what was good and what
Okay.
was bad, and then I'm at my final 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 films. Okay. So but that was from like
Down
That
to
makes
7.
me seem pretty good.
That's
just
why
going
I'm
down
like-
to 3.
because I'm just like crap. What do I have to do? Honestly, to go with my 2 honorable mentions, I'm probably gonna have to go with Alita: Battle Angel.
I heard that was really good.
I actually really enjoyed that film, not just because of the CGI, but because of the story, the way that it built it up, and the way that it created that anticipation for a sequel, which we're honestly probably not going to get because it didn't do too well here in the States, but it did great in the markets in China. So
Of course, well, it's
they
made
may
for China.
they may still do it. They may still do it though. Who knows?
Right.
There was a nice little like cameo twist at the end with a certain actor who was in there, Ed Norton. Did a surprise as the main antagonist, actually, as the gentleman who is the main antagonist. So that
Spoilers.
was really cool to say. It's fine. You see his face throughout it, but like you don't know it's him until like the light fully shines on his face. It was one of those like shadows, and it's been out since January or whatever, so it's fine. At this point, we can spoil it. I'm gonna definitely give an honorable mention to Alita. I'm not gonna say Detective Pikachu, even though it was fun.
See that that I'm putting down some like one of the worst movies I saw this year.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Bad.
probably say my other honorable mention would be Joker 2019.
Okay.
Endgame was a good end to a very long series, but we're talking about a climactic end to everything that's been built up. So
Yeah, it's almost hard to judge that on its own merit.
exactly. I'm gonna probably have to say El Camino was probably my favorite.
I can
now
see
that
that
I
one
think
would be
about it. El Camino was in the theaters for a very short amount of time. So
It
went
did
to The
make it to the
Irishman.
theater. All
It
right.
did make it to the theaters. That's one of the reasons why I kept it on there. That's why I asked about Dolomite, because I'm like, wait, that was still very good.
Okay.
El Camino was that Breaking Bad epilogue film, which was, honest to God, it was a great thing because I haven't watched Breaking Bad in a long time.
Right.
But they got you right up to speed from the first 5 minutes of the movie, and then the rest of it was just, you got exactly what you would want out of it.
Really? I got to watch
From
this now.
beginning to end, it was like, if you saw, did you see Breaking Bad?
Yeah, I watched all of
Okay.
Breaking Bad.
It gives you a quick little, like,
I've
you know,
even seen like 2 or 3 seasons of Better Call Saul.
perfect. So then you're going to really have a really good idea. So with this, it gives you that normal last time on Breaking Bad, and it gives you that recap of all the seasons up until Walt's death. Spoilers.
Really?
Yeah. And then finally, it has a normal like 5 minutes of like what happened during those last final moments of Walt while Jesse was doing his thing, right?
Right.
And then it's like, okay, now we're here. It continues right where it left off,
That's
and
great.
it literally creates that exact epilogue chapter that we all wanted. Like, what happened to Jesse at the end of the final season?
As he's driving off.
As
right.
he's driving off, and then everything after that up to the end, and you just
Okay.
go, okay, this is what I wanted. And there's a couple tense moments, there's a couple of relaxed moments, there's a couple of callback moments, and then finally it's just like, okay, wow, that was bittersweet, but I enjoyed it. That type of thing.
All right.
That was my
I gotta
feeling,
watch that.
but I enjoyed it. So I'm gonna say that's my
That's
favorite.
your best. All
That's
right.
my best.
So you got an
So-
honorable mention, another honorable mention.
Yeah,
or- yes.
I don't think a lot of people got to see this movie, but I did. I rather enjoyed it. It's not really very heavy. It's actually very clever, I thought, yesterday.
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah.
thought that was very, very clever. I didn't get a chance to see all of it though.
What I like about it is
The
that
the idea, the concept.
the concept and the fact it never tries to explain its concept.
Yeah.
It never tries to find a way out of it. It's never like, oh, well,
This is just how it is.
It doesn't try to
it's not-
over-explain itself.
he doesn't wake up from a coma or something.
It's like
It just says, like, somehow, some way,
Yeah.
the Earth stopped for a second,
And the Beatles didn't exist.
are erased from history.
Yeah, it's like the invention of lying with Ricky
Yeah.
Gervais, where it's like, I can do all this and no one will be none the wiser.
Right.
And it's like, what? And it was just such a cool concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it didn't try to like explain why the Beatles disappeared.
Nope.
I also love the fact that
So if
like
the, if the
Coca-Cola disappears and cigarettes disappear. Like
so
it's-
if the Beatles showed up in a UFO at the end of the movie, we'd be like, "Oh, this is terrible."
it would have ruined it, and they didn't.
And
They
that's
just stuck
what
with
I'm
it.
saying about the line.
Yeah.
So you can accept certain things, but when you get to a point, you can't.
See, there was a point where I'm watching it with my lady, and I'm thinking like, oh, he's having like a near-death experience, maybe, and he's gonna wake up from from a coma. There's one where I'm
Like some silly throwaway, like,
some
oh, that's
sort of
a
thing
gimme.
that explains why
But
the
no.
Beatles disappeared. There was even a moment where I thought that the woman who was playing his agent, and I thought she was the devil. Because there's a point where she basically made him a devil's deal, like, will you
Okay.
drink from this cup of blah blah blah, and So I thought maybe that's what was going on, but nope. She was just a
So it's not like-
horrible executive person,
She's just a horrible person.
and greedy as hell.
So it was kind of like that last scene in Total Recall where everything flashes white for a second for Arnold, and then you think he's playing out the rest of the scenario, but in reality, he's probably still alive.
Right.
Yeah, that
exactly.
whole thing. And you just
So-
don't know.
So I really enjoyed it. It was cute. It was
Yeah.
enjoyable. I'm sure
I gotta
made
finish it. I gotta finish it. I hear.
I
it
love
was-
that Ed
the rest of it
Sheeran
was
has
good.
enough confidence in himself to let someone lambaste him a little bit in that movie. Bloody Ed Sheeran.
He could apparently
Changing
take
it to
a
Hey
pretty good
Jude.
joke. It's great.
Apparently.
Yeah.
All right, so
I mean, he even
worst.
made jokes of himself in there about being a ginger and
Oh,
everything.
perfect.
So worst movie of
Oh, man.
2019. Dominic, you get to go first. Actually, are you ready for your worst, or you're not ready for your worst?
You know what? No, I could probably.
Not yet.
No,
Do
give
more
me
homework.
2 minutes.
Do
Give
more
me 2
homework.
minutes. Yeah, give me 2
So
minutes.
let me go first with the worst.
You go ahead.
So worst movie this year was Lego Movie Part 2.
Okay.
Okay.
I was going through my list, and there was a couple of bad ones I've seen.
What's on the list?
Yeah.
Well, those would be the honorable.
I have some I have
unmentioned.
dishonorable mentions. There you go.
So the dishonorable mention. So before I get back into Lego Part 2, I saw Undercover Brother Part 2 on Netflix,
They made that?
and good God, it's
That actually was put into a theater?
well, it was on Netflix, so it didn't make it to the theater. But I'm just saying, it's
Whoa,
honorable,
doesn't that not?
I'm just saying it's an honorable. That's why
Okay.
it's an honorable.
All right.
Or dishonorable. I just want to throw it out there and mention it. Good God, because last year I saw Samson. This is way worse. Like, it's very rare.
Now that's about the biblical
What-
character, Samson?
Yeah, it was with Lindsay Wagner and Rutger Howard. It was really bad.
Oh wow,
Oh.
Rutger Hauer was still alive then. Oh my
So
god.
here's the thing. The worst thing I've noticed going through my list. The worst thing to have is a comedy movie that's not funny. I
Oh,
think that
yes.
makes it worse than like a poorly edited movie or poorly shot. If you have a comedy that's not funny, you're just watching it like you have to force myself to finish this movie, and I had to force
There was
myself
a-
to watch this movie.
There's a period of time like in the 2000s where they had these great concept ideas for comedies, and they neutered them by making them all like PG-13.
Mhm.
Where if they were
yeah.
rated R,
They would have just gone that much further.
it would have been. And it
Yeah.
wasn't, I think, until maybe Van Wilder came out that people started feeling
That it's okay,
okay to go back to a rated R.
just
'Cause
a
there
little
were-
bit.
Like
yeah.
My Boss's Daughter, I remember watching that.
Or like Horrible Bosses was
Yeah.
pretty good too, but
was
like
fun.
it could have been a little better if
was
they
fun.
just
If
curved
they just
that
pushed
ball. Just a little.
But yeah,
Yeah.
what's his name? Ashton Kutcher did this movie called My Boss's Daughter.
Yep.
I
Would
don't
have
know
been
that.
hilarious
It was
if
R.
it was R.
Mhm.
Because they kept it PG-13, not funny.
right?
And
so,
it's like, why?
And that's what a lot of
Except
people
for
said.
one scene where it was slapstick comedy, was hilarious.
It's like what they did with
So-
Deadpool. They all
Right.
thought that Once Upon a Deadpool was going to flop and be awful because they were going to be restricting so much that Deadpool was going to be doing already from the rated R version. Turns out that they did it right and they played it very well. But
yeah.
the rumor was before it was going to be a hard R, it was all PG-13. And everyone was like, oh no, this is going to be awful.
No,
It's going to
no,
be
it's-
awful. Yeah.
So
you can
freaking-
appreciate Once Upon a Deadpool once you've seen Deadpool.
Correct.
rated
Exactly.
R.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's the.
Yeah.
Then you
part
go,
of the joke.
they did very good with that.
So I just want to throw that Undercover Brother 2 out there because, man, don't even.
I'm glad I didn't see that then. My
Not a
God.
good sequel. Not a good comedy.
Of
They
course.
didn't have any redeeming parts of it at all. But for the theaters, I gotta say, Star Wars Part 9. It wasn't even a real movie. It was.
No, it's
it
a real
was-
movie, Mark.
No, it wasn't even a real movie. It
was a bunch of
just-
clips.
It was a bunch of, exactly.
And
It was
bright
a
lights.
bunch of clips and stuff thrown on the screen in order to try to make it you think it's a movie, but it really wasn't. And it's not even, as you were just saying about the finale of a 10-year saga with the
Right.
Endgame.
Right.
This is the finale of a 9 series of 3 trilogies plus the other 3 side movies.
Right.
12 movies.
Right.
This is the end. The
Plus
12 movies.
Plus television.
It wasn't happening. It was just like, nope. It was a disservice to the entire Star Wars franchise. Like I said, it wasn't even a movie. It was just clips and highlights of stuff that could have been in a better movie. So
Jesus.
that's an honorable mention. But
Yeah.
Lego went one step beyond that by trying to make a sequel.
Oh,
where
wait.
they didn't need
So
to make
you're
a
saying
sequel.
Lego movie
Lego Part 2 was the
was
worst.
worse than Star Wars?
Correct,
Okay.
because they tried to make a sequel they didn't need to. It wasn't that funny, and then they just went off on some weird,
So
crazy
everything was no
tangent.
longer awesome.
Right, it was not awesome at all.
Everything was awful.
Yes. They went off on such a tangent in that movie. I'm like, what the hell were they smoking? Well, they made this movie and it flopped. You know, it was considered a flop. I was like, good God, let's not do this anymore.
What tangent did they go on?
It was some time travel.
Time travel.
Time travel meta thing that was going on about the spoilers
Yeah.
about the him in the future was actually a toy and he was fighting with himself as a toy, but not really because it was all a part of the kid's imagination, which is what the first story was about. I was like, what the hell? Who is this for? The kids aren't gonna understand it. I'm an adult. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're trying to do. It was just
Maybe it was written by Grant Morrison.
it was just. I was like,
It's
yeah.
meant to be watched backwards and then forwards again
And
to
then-
really understand the true meaning of the film.
As we were saying, where is it?
There you go. Stuff.
So as I
There
was
you go.
saying, the thing is, the worst thing about having a comedy is not funny is that it's not funny. So it wasn't even
Right.
funny. I'm just like, what the
Right.
hell? So that's why
Yeah,
why
I did not enjoy that one at
it
all.
was worse than Star Wars because it didn't even fit the genre that it was supposed to be in.
It was trying too hard to do something,
wasn't-
and it just became a spaghetti pot of garbage.
Yeah. So
Instead of just a clip show.
yeah.
A hot
exactly.
dumpster fire of leftover Indian takeout food on a
Going
July day.
slowly
So
down
you
the
got
road.
a worst for us.
I think
Go
one
for
of the
it.
worst movies I saw.
the
was-
worst, not one of them, the worst.
the- all right, well, I got my own dishonorable mentions
Yes.
too. Definitely one of the worst
Mhm.
that I saw was Detective Pikachu.
Okay.
Okay.
It
You
just-
saw that.
I saw. I saw,
saw
it
it
on-
too.
I saw it
too.
at home while I was working in my pottery studio. but
Okay.
I still saw it.
All right.
I saw it too.
I saw it because my
Yeah.
lady's like, "Let's see this." I'm like, "All right." well,
Okay.
it's like,
Did you
oh,
figure out
okay.
the mystery?
Yeah. I kind of
Was
like
it a
so-
surprise at the
No,
end? Who the
no.
father was?
No,
Oh.
not at all.
Nah,
Okay.
not
I
at
was
all.
just like, what?
That was spoiled for me too. I was kind of upset.
I mean,
at that.
I have to say, the best thing of the bad movie is
The fact it was Ryan.
Ryan
Yeah,
Reynolds.
yeah.
Because let's face it, Ryan Reynolds just plays Ryan Reynolds.
With everything, but
With
he
Ryan-
makes it
yeah.
good. Like,
Yeah.
he always makes it
So
good.
he's like
But
the Ben
sometimes
Stiller of
it's-
our generation.
Yeah,
yeah, at
he's
this
like the
point.
Burt Lancaster of our generation.
All right.
That's a
All
good
he does is play himself, and I'm not knocking it because
No,
he
it-
does
it
it,
works.
well.
He does
It
it well,
does-
and it works.
It
Exactly.
does what it needs to do. It gets the job done.
It gets
Right.
people in the theater. That's really
Yeah.
what
So
it is.
is that the worst
Yeah.
or is that the
One of the worst,
All right,
certainly
so
a
that's an honorable
dishonorable
mention.
mention.
Dishonorable mention.
I
What else
think
you
the
got?
worst though had to have been X-Men: Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix.
Thank you. I was
Ooh,
actually going to say that as well.
Dark Phoenix.
Uh,
All right.
Because to quote Ryan Reynolds in which movie was that he did? Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, where he makes his cameo,
Oh yeah.
and he goes, "But why?"
But why?
Because that's how I feel about the movie. But why?
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 Yeah.
Why any of it? Why
But
did you
why?
put this out? Why did you
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it this way? Like,
Exactly.
as we talked about it when we reviewed it, like there was so many great ideas that could have brought the X-Men into the Marvel universe, which
Nope.
is really what this movie should have been. This movie should
Mm-hmm.
have been the entree into the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe now that Disney has collected the Infinity Stone
So-
of Fox.
So let me throw this out there. So
And have renamed Fox Searchlight.
are you judging it
20th
on
century.
what it could have been or what it was?
Yes.
Because sometimes something that could have been, since we did a show about expectations, like if you have your expectations here and you're wind up all the way down here, it's far worse
See,
than
my
what's on
expectations-
the screen.
My expectations were already kind of like meh.
And it went it took even further.
And then what really annoyed me about it, okay, was as I'm watching it, they have these shape-shifting aliens.
the scrolls
Yeah.
that are not the scrolls because of
And a
legal
year
reasons.
before, yeah, they have these scrolls. And a year before, I'm watching Captain Marvel,
Captain
which
Marvel,
was
Captain Marvel.
meh,
Yeah, it was all right.
but they introduced the scrolls. like this isn't hard to like you
Just
now
say,
own
can
it all.
we say the name, please? Just let us say the name.
Right. You
I
know,
think,
it's like
I think it happened right before that merger happened, so like
Disney
that
is like-
agreement couldn't have been revised. You know what I
Disney is
mean?
the Sauron of entertainment. One company to own them all.
Disney has sued itself on multiple occasions. So
There you
different
go.
departments of Disney has sued other departments of Disney.
That's how
so I mean,
as,
yeah,
as
it has.
Harlan Ellison once called it, this massive octopoidal
Yeah,
conglomerate.
it's a
but-
giant squid.
So they
Assuming
have
that.
this ability now that they could have brought it in.
They could have changed it and done some stuff, but I think the movie came
Yeah.
out before the
And-
sale was even
I don't
done.
know, so you
Or
hold
as
on
it
to
was
it
done,
and you
so it-
fix it, like,
Yeah.
and it also it makes no sense. The ending made no sense because here you had this other ending from Days of Future Past.
Yep.
Like, okay, so that's where they're going to end up.
Well, actually,
and then
the
it's like,
ending
no,
is
we're not.
Logan.
Nope, that does
Logan
not
is
matter
the
anymore.
ending.
Logan's, but I'm saying
Right,
in Days
and
of Future,
right,
the
yeah.
Yeah.
overall X-Men, like that's where it is with Xavier and
Mhm.
you know,
Nope.
like great. So it's
Nope.
like it's.
They
I go
literally-
back to
They ended up at the beginning of the film, basically. They
They-
did everything to get nowhere.
They went
Right,
out of their
That's
way
really what happened.
to negate Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
They fixed everything, and they went and
They
effed
made
it up again.
Yeah, which made it great.
Like, good
and
job,
look,
guys.
the
Good
movie that
job.
came after Days of Future Past was it X-Men? What was that? The one with Apocalypse.
Apocalypse.
Oh, yeah, X-Men
Age of
Which
Apocalypse.
was not great. Was
But it was
not
all right.
even close to great.
It was starting to already veer off.
But it doesn't. It did not mess up anything that Days of Future Past did.
Yeah, because that was going to be
But
something that
I
could have
felt
made
that
sense.
it started to though.
A little, but it didn't. And what it was at least cool was that you finally got to see like real life versions of the 90s X-Men cartoon.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, that last scene where you see the X-Men in the
Right,
in the
yeah.
danger room, it's like, all
The
right, but they're all in
outfits
those
and
those outfits. It's like, all right,
costumes
that's pretty cool. I got to
Right.
see that.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
again, I know is fan service, but it's like, all right, it doesn't
Still.
really mess up the
correct.
inevitable arc. And then one other thing that I have to put in dishonorable mention, which wasn't terrible but just wasn't great, was Shazam.
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 It was
Captain
all
Marvel.
right.
It was okay. And I don't really blame the film. What it is, it's more of
Timing
DC's the timing.
and what
I thought Zachary Levi actually did a pretty good job of playing.
I felt that the role should have been reversed. The kid actually played a better Shazam than the
That-
adult,
yeah,
and the
right.
adult would have been the better kid.
Like-
That's just
Mhm.
me.
I thought he did a good job as Captain Marvel in
Right.
terms of like getting the look and everything like that. But here you have this B movie.
Yeah,
I give it a B,
a solid B.
a solid B, which
High
could've-
budget B.
high budget B, which could have like been, right in there with, say, Black Panther, or I'm trying to think of some of the other Marvel movies that have come out. That were
Black
like okay,
Panther,
but
which
not
was
great.
your worst
Iron Man
of
1.
2018, by the way.
Like 'cause I had to find something, and I was like, Black Panther, I think was on. It was good, as I
But
said, it was good. but
a
it was-
lot of what you saw. I
was
just
like,
thought that was kind of weird that you threw
But-
it. I had.
So anyway, it's there, and it's like here you have this bizarre, struggling patchwork DC universe, and then they have this thing that kind of doesn't fit anywhere.
Yeah, so just kind of put it there and was like,
Yeah.
it'll fit eventually.
And then they also just rushed it with bringing in the Marvel family,
Yeah,
which should have waited. If Marvel had done it,
That's a square into the circle hole.
yeah.
right
If
there?
if
square peg,
Marvel-
round hole.
Yeah.
if Marvel Studios had done it, they would have been smart enough to know that you establish Captain Marvel first,
and then
then in
right.
the next one you have the Marvel family.
they weren't
Yep.
confident that it was gonna make it.
Yeah.
And
Nobody
this was
did.
like, nope, rush them in, get them in there, throw that all in. Okay, here we
Gotta
go.
compete. Gotta
They
create a
tease
universe.
you Black Adam,
Ba.
and then like for nothing. Somehow Dwayne Johnson still remained a producer on the thing.
Yeah.
I have no idea how that happened.
Probably because he's like, I don't want to
he's
act,
making
but
a Black
I'll
Adam,
take EP.
making a Black Adam.
They were
movie.
going to make him Black Adam, and
Yeah.
how many times did they talk about making
but
him
he's
Black
doing
Adam?
it. He's in
In
pre-
Shazam
I
too?
think he's in pre-production for the Black Adam movie right now.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's like it was just for me. It was like it was okay, but it could have been better.
All right.
Yeah.
Whereas
definitely.
Dark Phoenix,
It was just
just
all right.
just like cat
It's just
vomit on
X-Men
a.
puke.
All right,
Yeah.
Rambo. The
Uh,
worst.
It's
Okay.
Wolverine cat vomit.
Let's do
Exactly.
one honorable mention for the worst movie.
So I have actually two dishonorable mentions.
Two
but
dishonorable
we
mentions.
already spoke about them though. Dark
Alright.
Phoenix and Lego Movie 2.
Oh,
So
all
we've
right.
already spoken about those
Okay.
two. Literally from both of you. I'm like, thank you. At least you guys explained it so I didn't have to.
So your worst. What is
The
what is
Dumbo remake.
Okay. See, that's so
was
bad. I just didn't go see it.
so
Michael Keaton, Tim
Bland.
Burton back together again.
It was just so bland. The only thing that was good about it was one particular scene, and that was the hallucinogenic bubble scene that they brought back.
Oh,
because
pink elephants.
because they got
Pink elephants
to
on
be
parade.
because then Tim Burton got to let his colors fly a little bit, and then that was it. He was back down and restricted by the reins of Disney. It was
The only director-
so bland.
Truly, the only director that can work well with Disney is Jon Favreau.
Oh yeah, and Feige can do some work, but it depends.
But he's a producer. He's not
Right,
really
yeah,
a
now he's a
director.
producer. Now he's a
But
producer.
every other director who's
Has
got
had
their own
some
thing and can do
creative
something,
differences and
then Disney
Does
comes
Favreau
along.
go-
Although-
and screws them.
Yeah.
to be fair, I think Ron Howard was fine with Disney. They were just it didn't come out as they wanted it to, but
Oh, it's Solo?
yeah. But
I thought
he
Solo was fine.
But
Well,
I
now
mean,
we could say he was
but
tacked on as a Disney project.
but I'm just
and that's
saying,
good
as Ron
credits for him.
Howard, as directors go, he was
Right.
no problems with him.
No, it was everything
No.
else before him, so we had to deal with
But
what
he
had.
didn't. He didn't make the. It wasn't the grounding as a
Right.
Jon Favreau
Yeah, yeah,
would.
yeah.
But like Favreau is the only one who seemingly like can deal with Marvel and Disney
and make it successful
and make it
Right.
successful
I
and
think it's
knows how to
because
navigate
he
it.
knows the stuff. You know
He's
what I
like-
mean?
Right.
He is, I think, a nerd. So I think I
Yeah.
feel like because he is a fan of the product, kind of like how the Orville is with Seth
Mhm.
MacFarlane, it's for a fan. It's
And-
by a fan.
Right.
Which means you're going to get good quality because he knows how to
Now
appeal
imagine-
to that.
And also,
Here's the
I
thing.
wanna-
Imagine
yeah.
Jon Favreau did Rise of Skywalker.
I would think
That
it
would've
would-
been
I
interesting.
think
Tell
he
me
could've-
that would've
I
been
think he
better.
could have saved it.
I feel like what they
Yeah.
should have definitely done is
And-
is probably that.
and-
Three different directors for
And
each film.
speaking of which, as they, because the internet is the internet, they're like, how can he save, Star Wars? Very
release
simple.
the JJ cut.
All they need to do is pull a new heart, and they'll be fine.
A new
Luke
what?
wakes up. New heart. Luke wakes
Oh,
up.
Luke wakes up.
Oh, it was all a dream.
Oh, this was a force.
Like
This whole thing
it
was a
it
force
a
hallucination.
force dream.
He wakes up and
He-
it's,
he
and it's
went
just
on a-
the nightmare that he had about Ben Solo.
He
and
went on
goes,
a
"I have
force.
to
Right.
He
confront
went on a
Ben."
force bender, and he had
What a force bender.
He
and
went on
had-
a blue milk bender. Thank you.
because and that it would solve it instantaneously. They could do it. They got the money to do it. They had the people to do it. The only thing is that Carrie Fisher passed away.
Right.
But beyond that, he just let's carry on. It could.
Honestly,
It could.
Well,
but
Boyega and Ridley, Daisy and John Daisy Ridley and
kinda-
John Boyega, they're like,
they
we're
kinda-
kind of
they
like,
kinda
we're
tapped
tapped out.
But I'm just
We
saying.
won't deal with
Yeah,
this.
blame
but
him.
he throw enough Disney
Um,
money at him and whatever. I think.
I
it
think
could've
that the
easily-
future of Star
easily-
Wars, one is in The Mandalorian and doing some live television.
I think so,
I
too.
think the second future part of the future of Star Wars is to do a film series or series of films, which is a different thing.
Yeah,
Right.
Star Wars
Well, I mean,
stories.
In
they are gonna
between
do.
Star Wars stories that fill in the gap between Jedi and Force Awakens.
Well, there is going to be a
They
film in
could.
2022, but we
Man,
don't
there's-
know what
there's
it's
gonna
going
be-
Kenobi
to
or Boba
be.
Fett,
There's
right?
going to be
No, Kenobi's gonna be a show.
TV series.
Kenobi's gonna be a
a show. They
Yeah.
with
confirmed
Ewan
that.
McGregor?
Yeah,
McGregor.
yes,
With
it's been
McGregor.
announced.
Speaking
So-
of McGregor, 40-second knockout.
Yeah.
So I mean, with the
ridiculous.
different McGregor.
Love
Different
it.
but they're all McGregors to me.
Great fight though.
How did
Great
that?
fight.
I was like, I'm so glad I
They're
didn't
gonna
buy
keep
that
on-
fight. I watched it on Twitter the next
They're
day.
going to
too.
keep on making Star Wars movies until the moon learns how to talk.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even though they say they're not
No,
going
till
to,
the moon blows up the Earth
there
with
we
its
go.
beam.
Please,
So-
just
That's no moon.
So with all that, so let's
That's
have
a
a recap.
money-grubbing
And,
Disney device.
and Charlie didn't call in, so I think the bets are.
So I won that, right?
Yes,
You
What
won
do
the
I get?
all right, so
You
just
win
to,
a
just,
date with yourself. Congratulations.
just to recap.
yourself a night on the
That was
town.
like that was my every Saturday night before I met my lady.
So just to recap, Dominic's best movie of the year is you said it wasn't The Irishman, it was the other one.
No, it was The Irishman.
It was The
It
Irishman.
was The Irishman with my two honorable mentions being
So-
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and what was the other honorable mention? That was good. Oh, Yesterday.
Okay, so
Yesterday was
best
good.
movie is Irishman. Worst movie was X-Men: Dark Phoenix.
Definitely.
So my best movie was Godzilla Part 2, and the worst movie was Lego Part 2 sequels. Once again, it's amazing how many sequels I've seen this year.
Unfortunately, that's like
Zambo?
what Hollywood
Yes.
does. They just throw out these
Your best
sequels that are
movie
terrible.
was
Alita.
Alita, and the worst
my
was-
worst was Dumbo.
Dumbo.
The Dumbo
All right.
remake.
So now, because we have some time, we're going to do the 10-year from 1010 to 1019.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're in 2020 about all these movies that we just talked about, better or worse for the other movies. Now, did you have a list that you can go up against, like what for the past 10 years?
I got a life,
sent
dude.
You, I sent you at least the two of the two best.
Well,
of
of the
past
two that
2
I said that
years.
were the worst, I'd have to definitely up there is that Power Rangers movie.
So is that Power worse,
yeah.
better or worse than this year's worst?
Oh, it's worse.
So the Power Rangers would be the worst in your mind from what
It's
information that you have.
It's my Skyline.
Ooh, Skyline.
For the best, at least I can say for the past 2 years on the show, you mentioned that The Last Jedi was your best movie of 2017.
Yeah.
And Vice was the best movie of 2018.
That was a lot of fun, Vice.
So would those two movies be better than The Irishman of this year?
No.
No. So which would be the best one? So Irishman is the best. Since your time on the show for the past 3
Since
years.
my time on the show for the past 3 years, Irishman's the better movie of the other ones.
So you're doing your homework.
I'm doing my homework right now.
He's doing his homework.
No, it's because I need to remember the last 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost
So-
an unfair question. Like, what was the
Almost.
best thing out of the past 10 years? Like,
Well, I did.
I can give you the top 3 in my opinion
I did my
for the
homework.
last 10 years.
I did my homework on the best and the worst, and it was rough. Like some of the years, I was
Yeah.
like, man, these are really good movies. Like Book of Eli was a great movie. There's just so many things, but I felt that Creed Part 2 was the best of the past 10 years. It's better than
Okay.
Godzilla
Oh, that's a good
because once again I was thinking about how I went going in, how I felt afterwards, and this on the fact that it's a Part 8 of a series, and it was just as strong, and it was so good that it even enhanced a previous movie, which is a rare form for sequels to do. That it was a great movie, well acted, well thought out, and comparing Godzilla 2, which was the best of 2019, and all the other movies I had to whittle down. So is Creed 2 better than Godzilla? Yeah, because it had better acting. Like the acting was there. It was a great overall movie instead of just a friendly family thing that I just wanted to. I was just so happy. So the Creed 2, the fact that they humanized Dolph Lundgren's character,
Drago.
and it enhanced Rocky 4.
Drago!
Amazing how good that was.
Yeah.
So Creed 2 for the past 10 years, for the 2010s, it's the best movie. And
I haven't got a chance to see it, and I want to see it.
it was so good, and there was so many things. And there was one part I've mentioned this that as a deleted scene, there is a fight between Drago and Rocky.
Really?
In the deleted scene,
Ooh.
which you can see on YouTube, you can see the fight. It was just a little brawl, but I'm like, wow, just to see them go at it again, which was amazing. But then I can see how it didn't quite fit in
Then
the
it becomes
movie.
like Rocky 7.
So I can see,
Technically.
because I knew exactly where it was going to be in the movie. I can see how awesome it would be to see it, but for the sake of the movie,
For the sake of time, I
they
guess.
didn't put it in there, and it would disrupt the narrative, which
That's
is
hard.
why the director said he didn't put it in. As much as you want to see that type of thing, story overall, and it enhances the movie. Just the fact that it's like, wow, they did it right. Worst movie.
Okay.
From 2013 was the worst movie of the past 10. Lords of Salem. Good God.
See, I didn't see that. I don't know what that
I didn't see
Lords
it
of
either.
Salem is a
Sorry.
Rob Zombie movie that came out after he had done the Halloween remake.
Okay.
And once again, as I work in the theater, I was able to, it's a Rob Zombie movie. Let me go check this out.
Okay.
And good God, there was some bad movies. A lot of the bad movies I've seen over the past 10 years were unfunny comedies. That was the trend I've noticed. I'm like, these movies are just not funny. It's just like a chore.
Yeah.
But this movie started off with full frontal 80-year-old women nudity. And
Nice.
and it went
A la
downhill
The
from there.
Shining.
Okay.
It went downhill from there. And it
That's
was
hard to break down, man.
and it was so bad, like it's ingrained in my mind. I was just telling my friend, we were just talking about movies. He's like, "Yeah, it's not as bad as Lords of Salem." I was like, you know what?
You're
That movie,
right.
it was so bad. It's etched in my head how bad it was. And that was from 2013, 7 years ago. It's that bad.
Oh my
So that
God.
would be the worst of the 10 years.
I'll tell you what was bad in the
what do
past
you-
10 years was Terminator Genesis.
Oof.
Genesis. This
Yeah.
was worse than Genesis. Like I'm telling you, and it was. I'm like, what the hell am I watching? Why am I watching this? Like,
Yeah.
it was just, But so with
I
that,
want my money back. It's so bad.
so out of the bad movies that you got, so you have Power Rangers is the bad for the past 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
the best would be Irishman for the past 10 years.
I could say for the
Right?
past 3 years.
For the past 3 years. Zanimo, did you finish your homework?
So
Because we
yes,
have
so
less than
I
3
have,
minutes to go.
I have a few movies that are my favorites.
So out of the
in
10
terms of what's
years,
here.
and does it beat this year, the 2019 movie?
I'm gonna say yes and or close, as in like by hairs,
All
like
right,
by,
so
basically by
what's-
centimeters.
So 10 years ago, what was
we're gonna say
the past 10 years?
we're gonna say in no particular order, Mad Max Fury Road was the only movie that in the past 10 years I've seen twice. I saw once in IMAX in full color, and then at the re-release, I saw an IMAX in black and white, which was ridiculous. And I recommend seeing it in black and white. I really do. Grand Budapest Hotel was really fun. I enjoyed it very much.
I didn't get to see that.
It was one of those Wes Craven films where everything's like pristine.
Weird and like we don't know. Are we in the 70s? Is it modern day? We
Exactly,
don't know.
but it's
No,
like
not
but it's
Wes-
like just
not
enough
Wes
to be good.
Craven.
No,
Wes Anderson.
Wes
Did I
Anderson.
say Wes Craven?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I meant to say Wes
I was
Anderson.
like, wait a minute. That's
Thank you. I meant to say Wes Anderson. Skyfall, I actually really did enjoy.
That was good.
That was probably one of my favorite Bond films to date. With No Time to Die coming out, I'm honestly really excited for it.
Right.
And Toy Story 3, I think, is the one that probably came out on top, but only by like ever so much.
all right.
Because
so,
it's my childhood. You know, it's one of those things that I connected with the most.
so worst.
When did Quantum of Solace come
worst.
out?
2009, I
Okay,
think.
just misses.
Just misses it. Yeah.
So worst.
Worst film, I'm gonna have to probably say. Oh my God, I had it too because I saw it and I absolutely loathed it.
I remember
wanted to
last year
leave.
you said you hated Holmes and
Oh,
Watson.
Holmes and Watson was just stupid.
that
Holmes
was
and Watson
terrible.
was just dumb.
I didn't watch it, but I just don't know it's bad.
The 50 Shades movies were just god awful too. I was dragged to see those, obviously. But
So it's Twilight. Twilight was terrible.
Twilight was just garbage. So Twilight, 50 Shades, which was actually started out. The books actually started out as Twilight fan fiction,
Right.
which evolved into its own book series and then its own film series. Why click? And then Holmes and Watson, yeah.
All right,
definitely.
so,
those were bad.
I know
because
it didn't
Charlie's
come out in the
not
past
here-
10 years, but still one of the I think
So when we
the
do the
worst
next,
movies.
when we do the 20-year one,
yeah.
Oh, hang on. When did this one movie come out? It was called Red
he's,
Eye.
he's checking. Go ahead, go speak. Go.
2005.
one of the
never mind.
worst movies I've ever seen in theaters had to have been the Thomas Jane Punisher.
I like that Thomas Jane
Ooh.
Punisher.
Of course you did. You have terrible taste.
Okay,
It
2005.
It was so bad.
So,
How could you like that movie?
If we're talking
I
the last,
felt that he was a good Punisher, and that was pretty much why I liked that movie.
I thought he was a good Punisher. I thought the
Hey.
overall movie was terrible.
Speaking of that-
so the fact that he was Punisher, I was like, oh, yes.
my least favorite movie in the past 20 years was Red Eye, and I still remember this movie. And funny enough, it's
With-
Wes Craven.
With Scarecrow,
With-
and
with, yes.
Jodie Foster.
Yes. So
Yep.
this film was so bad that the moment he in this film he gets stabbed in the neck with a pen, right? And he basically gets like one of those like throat holes in like the middle of his thing for trying to be a murderer. And everyone in the theater said, "Yay!" Everyone literally got up and then went, "Yay!" And there was still at least another 30 minutes left in the film. Everyone just got up and walked out
Wow.
because that's all they wanted to see. They wanted to see the guy get stabbed so we could just leave.
Spoilers.
And it was
so
bad. It was
that
bad.
about does it. I'm gonna throw out for Charlie that Skyline is gonna be his worst of all time because
And anything
he
Disney.
told me that on the phone.
I mean, it was.
I
It did
hope,
come out in
lying.
2010, so it counts.
I hope he's okay. Charlie, you're supposed to go in.
Charlie,
find
please
out
be
what
awake.
happened to him. Yes, wake up, Charlie. So that about does it for this week on the Came From the Radio. Join us right here and every week on this radio station. If you missed any part of the show,
Tough.
go to our website, www.camefromradio.com. Listen to our archives will be up in a week or so. Or check us out on such places as Beyond the Dawn Studios. We have our Facebook Live at 3 p.m.-ish on every Wednesday. Or you can check us out on places such as Overcast, Pocket Cast, iHeartRadio, Google Play, iTunes, Breaker or Breaker, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Spotify, Podbean, Player FM, Soundcast, Acast, Castbox, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podmus, Luminary, Blueberry, Mixcloud, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Castro, Pandora. You can ask Alexa, or you can even ask Siri to just play It Came From the Radio. Or
Just Google. It came from. Speaking of that, Google Nest.
Google
Can you?
Nest.
Yeah, the Google Home speaker. Can
Yeah.
can that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Are we
it
on
can.
that?
Anything that Google Podcasts is available on, which is all Google devices. Can
Okay,
play
so we're
your
even
show,
on that.
can play
We're
my
on
show,
the Google
yeah.
Nest. Yeah.
All right. So
okay.
yeah. Thanks.
There you go.
Look at that.
Anything
So we'll see you-
Amazon can do, Google can do better, or whatever.
It can
We'll
do
see you,
everything better
next
than
week.
us.
You.
You've been listening to It Came From the Radio with Mark
job, all.
Torres.
All right, so that's
The
it for
views of
another
the show's hosts
behind the
and
scenes
guests
show.
did not
Charlie did
necessarily
not call in,
reflect
so
that
good job,
of
you
the
won.
management,
Thank you.
Which is
owners,
so, like
What
I
do I
said,
get?
on the way
station.
here, I spoke
We
to
now
him on the
return you
phone.
To your earthly
Let's hope he's
scheduled
okay.
broadcast.
And maybe he is pulling a senior moment, because one time, as I've mentioned this story many times, that he was when we did the show on WGBB, it was a live show, and at the time he was always there punctual, never missed a show all the time, and then
Right.
one time he didn't show up. And since we're live, I didn't have time to call him, but show
It's
went
like
up and
adjust.
left, and I was leaving the studio, and I'm calling, no answer, calling, no answer. I got worried, so I called his daughter, and I was like, is your dad okay? I haven't heard from him. And then, I don't know, about an hour or so later, Charlie calls me. He's like, my daughter was calling me like a crazy person, like, what's going on? and he didn't realize. Well, he said that he said, I'm gonna close my eyes for a minute, and it was like 4
Never a
hours
minute.
later.
Yeah.
$10. That's exactly
And
what
it
happened.
didn't realize that it
Nap
was
roulette.
He didn't
Hell
even
yeah.
realize that it was Sunday. So he's like, "Why is she calling me?" He's like, "Oh, I missed the show. Like it just bloop, and it was fine." So it's possible.
Yeah.
That's
It's
actually really funny.
possible
Nap
that
roulette.
he has a.
That's horrible, man. You got
Will
to
you sleep for
senior-
20
a
minutes? Will you
senior
sleep for
moment.
5 hours? Will it be the next day? We don't know.
And on the same.
What year is it?
And
What
on the
year is it?
the same story about Charlie being the senior correspondent, we went to see Green Lantern at a midnight showing in the
Oh, I'm
theaters.
so
Oh,
sorry.
that's bad.
I'm
and
so sorry.
spoilers. And there was one part in the movie where
You wanted to walk out.
Blake
I mean,
Lively
Right.
was captured by the bad guy,
Uh-huh.
and in the next scene she's floating in the hangar.
Right.
And there's no context of how we got from where she is to the hangar scene. It was just bloop. It was a cut. There was no
Right.
explanation. It was nothing.
Well, he had mind powers.
So
Mind
when the movie's over,
powers.
we're talking about the movie, and Charlie comes to me and goes, "Man, I was tired. I closed my eyes for a second. I must have dozed off. What happened when they captured her to the hangar?" I said,
Nothing.
Nothing happened.
You were
So-
awake.
So he thought he fell asleep. Because it was so badly edited, he
Oh
went
my
at the right time.
Lord.
He went like that. He was like, "What did I miss?" But he didn't miss anything.
He
So
literally
that's-
You
just
know, now
blinked
that we
and was
bring
like,
that up,
"Wait a
one of the best
second."
movies I saw in the past decade was Deadpool 2 with the end credits where Ryan Reynolds goes and blows his own head off for reading Green Lantern.
Deadpool 2
Yes.
was an honorable mention. Like it was as the years go by, I'm like it wasn't as good as Deadpool.
Yeah.
So Deadpool beats it out.
Right.
But then as Deadpool, while it was, and I have to say, it was probably the funniest movie I have seen
Oh, it was so funny.
in the past 10 years. Because
I mean,
as
just for the
soon as I go
juggernaut.
in
Yeah.
and I left, I laughed all the way through.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened in years. But was it a movie or was it just really, really, really funny? So I'm like, really, really funny. Not as good as Creed 2 because Creed 2 was the movie.
I mean, Creed
That's
2 had,
why-
like, Creed
that's
2
why-
is
that's
another
why
category.
It punched out that, and Book of Eli was really good. And I
Did that
remember
come out in the
was
past
very
10
good.
years?
it
That
came out. I
did.
think came out in 2010.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was
okay.
on my list, and I
Forgot
was
about
like,
that.
and it was a really good movie. And that movie showed me how if you have really good actors in a movie and
Right.
have one actor who's not that good in a movie, it
Right.
shows. So everybody.
Who was
in
the actor that
movie-
wasn't so good in that movie?
Mila Kunis,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
Denzel Washington,
Right.
Jennifer Beals, Gary
Right.
Oldman,
Gary Oldman's so good in everything.
and
about
it was all of them in this movie. And I was like, oh, this is a really good movie. And then she's trying, like you can see she's trying, but she's just not on the same level.
Right.
So I'm like, right there, that's why that didn't win. Because if
Right,
she had
right.
brought it, it's so weird. Like, you talk about these things, but you don't know it until you actually see it. Like I saw this movie with Chris Evans,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was Dakota Fanning, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Push. It was called Push,
Mm-hmm.
where everybody was horrible in this movie, but Dakota was really good in it. Or maybe it was Chloe Grace Moretz. It was one of those child actors that are like really good actresses.
Right.
And I was like, wow, she's a really good actress, and everybody else is so bad. You can see the
Yeah.
difference, how it elevates it.
There's another really bad Mila Kunis movie out there when she was trying to get into doing movies. It's like don't do it.
Yeah.
Max Payne.
Oh my God.
She
I
was in
forgot
that?
She
was in that, and
that.
it's terrible.
Oh.
I mean, and that was
So
with
bad.
Wahlberg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Wahlberg's in it, and they tried to, it's based. First of all, any time a movie is based off of not a comic,
But
not
a
a
video
book,
game.
but a video game,
It's gonna do bad.
always bad.
Yeah.
And
9 times out of 10, yeah.
and this was bad. And then they tried to give you like the first person shooter feel.
Right.
It's like I don't. That's bad.
Like, why would
It's
you
so
do that?
bad.
That was for the Doom movie back in like
Right.
You don't
It
need
was
to do
The
just-
that.
only movie
And she
I-
plays like a Russian female gangster or something in the
It's
movie.
just funny that
so
she is
bad.
Russian and female, which is great.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
it
well
works out.
casted. Right? They should
Yeah,
have
like-
casted Scarlett Johansson for that
she's-
role.
It's so bad. That movie's so bad. She does not do a good job in
Oh
that
my
movie.
Lord.
So yeah, so it's just one of those things where you can see these little differences that you can realize after watching it. What was that? Hardcore Harry. I wanted to see that.
Hardcore
movie.
Henry.
Hardcore Henry. I wanted to see that because that is technically a first-person movie.
That was cool.
And I
The
was like,
concept
that
itself was
a
fun.
very video game-ish feel.
It was
that you see that.
nauseating.
And
It was fun.
one other thing I wanted to mention was The Raid. The Raid was a great movie in the past 2010s. That was one of those action movies, just tons, start to end, tons of action. It was an Indonesian film. It skyrocketed those guys to status. But man, if you guys love action, and I had not seen a 2-on-1 fight since Lethal Weapon 4. where it was
Okay.
Danny Glover and Mel
You gotta
Gibson
watch
versus
Old
Jet
Boy.
Li.
Jet Li, yeah.
Like that blew my mind to see 2-on-1 and the bad guy's like still beating them. And
Right.
it just made it like really awesome.
You
But
gotta
in
watch
this
Old
movie,
Boy.
in Raid, it was once again the two good guys versus the one bad guy, and they were struggling. And it was such well choreographed. That is like puts Jackie Chan to shame. It was a great action movie. Tons of action. If you're an action fan, go watch that movie. And they made a sequel, and they're supposedly making the third one, but the sequel almost as good as the first one. The Raid was a very good action movie. But once again, was it a well-rounded movie as Creed 2? No.
Right.
So Creed 2,
Creed 2.
you really should. Like, if you're a fan of the Rocky franchise,
Of course I am.
really good.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a fan, you should have seen it.
I missed it in the theaters, and then I just
And it's
didn't
just
want
one of
to.
those-
I just didn't want to have to pay for it, and because it was like, and it's an expensive.
It's hard to find.
It was an expensive rental on Amazon
It's
at the time.
it's not one of those where you can just it's on this, which
Right.
is weird. There's certain movies that you just can't find,
Right.
and I think it's one of those.
Yeah.
Which maybe they're holding out for some reason. Who knows? Or maybe Universal when they have